Hey, everybody. So welcome back. And here's the funny thing. On a national level, builder confidence, well, it's kind of waning. It's going way back to, pre-pandemic times, or pandemic times, I should say. But is that the case here locally? We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about the local stats. Hang on. Let's get our show there. Every once in a while, the button just doesn't work right. You have to do it twice. Anyway, so the question is the market that we're seeing here locally, are we sliding? And are the builders out there, are they just slashing prices, throwing just crazy incentives out there to get their homes sold? And the answer is no and no. But when we talk about the market, we're starting to see a little bit of that, a little bit more balance. It's been predominantly a seller's market, and we're starting to see with more inventory, we're starting to see that going from a seller's market leaning more towards a buyer's market. I wouldn't say we're total vertical. I think we're a little bit leaning towards the buyer's side. And a lot of that is some of the socioeconomic feelings that are out there, some of those metrics. If we take a look at just some of the announcements with Microsoft and Amazon, some of the other techs, we're seeing tightening of the belt, as they would say, and we're going to see some of that employment head off into other companies that are looking for really good people, may not get the solid information as far as, or not solid information, but the same income levels, which that's creating a little bit of strife. Buyers are starting to pull back a little bit, and we're seeing an increase in market times. But with that, let's get on with the show. Let's get with this stuff here. All right, so here it is, builder confidence near post-pandemic lows. But timing is everything. And as you can see on the chart there, we're seeing a little bit of a downward trend. Now, when we talk about the National Association of Home Builders, HMI key findings, and I wrote in there the Housing Market Index is what HMI stands for. All right, builder confidence. So here's the funny thing. Current sales conditions fell just a little bit. That happened nationally and locally. And then, of course, in a highlighted section there, the latest HMI survey also revealed that 34% of builders cut home prices in May. That's up 29% from April. We also have an average price reduction of 5% in May, which is about the same as what we saw last month. And 61% of homes had some form of sales incentive. And again, that's the same as last month. So really, we're kind of seeing a very steady pattern, nothing crazy. We did see some price reductions in newer plats coming on market. There's a little bit of problem with builders and pricing new plats because of some of the pullback on the buyers. We're starting to see some of, I think that they're going to come down a little bit more aggressively. They were a little timid. Our area is, again, a little bit more unique. We do not see the massive swings and shifts that a lot of the other areas, like Texas, Arizona, Florida, parts of California see. We tend to be a little bit more of that steady eddy. And so we are seeing some fluctuation, but not a ton. We're going to get into that. Now, as we roll over, let's take a look at our headlines. So builder confidence nears post-pandemic lows. We knew that. Purchase demand moves back towards a 2-year high. And part of that is because we're starting to see some leveling off, a little bit of stability in mortgage pricing, even though it's headed up and down and then up and then down again. Housing starts buoyed by the multifamily sector, that is a big deal. We have seen a lot of, you guys have seen a lot of townhomes that have been coming on market. Pulte's been doing a ton. We've got Tri-State Tri, I'm drawing a blank on the builder name. They've been getting in and doing a lot of townhomes. And a lot of this is because it is more affordable. and it's in a price range that is achievable by more people. So renters are able to enter into that market, albeit still very expensive in a lot of areas. Now, if we pop back in here, we talk a little bit about rate. Look, we've only adjusted rate 2/10, 0.02, or 200ths, I should say, 0.02. When we take a look at going up or down, we haven't seen a lot of shift at all. And I think that that's consistent for what we have seen, since about October of last year. So what are the key things that have changed in our market? Well, when we let's open that up, because that is a super interesting thing. When we talk about rates are actually up just a tiny little bit over last week, but we're down 0.21, almost 0.25% of where we were at last year. And when that takes a big picture look at what we are doing for days on market, we're 1 day longer on market on average. And when that's for the month of May, for the year to date, we're actually up 4 days. And then when we take a look at the actual list to sales price, if we use $100,000 as our list price, last year at this time, if we listed at 100,000, we sold at 100,000, or 100% of list price. But we actually we brought it down a little bit. So we went from $100,000 list price to 98% of list price. So we're at 98% of list price. And so as you take those numbers bigger, that translates into additional numbers. And what we are seeing, there are certain areas that we see that respond faster to market changes, to market shifts, like Kirkland, and especially west of Market. A lot of some of the Kirkland areas, we see them responding early. In other words, that once we start to get the a market shift, Kirkland seems to take a little bit of a faster hit, but they're also faster in the recovery. I'm not sure why. It's just consistent. It's almost crazy sometimes, but it's a metric that we do watch because actually it's pretty consistent. All right. So as we pop this back open and we take a look at the running 7-day average, look at that. The largest number of homes we've had come on any week, 1,593, almost 1,600 homes. That is like super awesome. That is going to help a lot of buyers out there. And if you're doing a move up, that is going to be super awesome. If you are a seller, well, unfortunately, there was only 1,184, almost 1,200 homes that actually went pended. Okay. Now, why is that a little bit of a concern? Simple enough. During the week, we had one come on and one go off. Friday, massive list date. Wow, we saw the biggest jump yet, and that's going to help a lot of buyers, but that's also starting to soften that market just a little bit. And we are seeing that straight across the board with days on market going up, and as far as list to sales price coming down just a little bit. Our market has been it's kind of sluggish. I mean, it's not bad. It's not great. It's just blah. It's just there. Very, very lateral. Okay. Are we seeing some home appreciation? Yes. Not as much as kind of we originally predicted. And a lot of that is driven because mortgage interest rates have been seeing some tough times. Now, a lot of that, yes, by the administration, some of their aggressive activities, trying to reduce the $1 trillion worth of trade deficit that we're seeing. They're doing some great things. Got to rip the Band-Aid off, as they say. So there's going to be some short-term pain. Do we think that the latter half of this year is going to be a better market? I think it's going to be slightly better. It just depends on how, again, when we see some of the China tariffs, Canada tariffs, Mexico, are we able to get those back down into a modicum where the industrial investors, feel more comfortable? And if so, then rates will come back down versus kind of staying in the high 6s, low 7, mostly high 6s. we get down into the low sixes, we're going to see a lot of that pent-up buyer demand that definitely is out there. They're going to come out and play a little bit of a game. Now, remember, you want super solid information, come here every week. There is no selling. So keep that in mind. Now, let's talk about the Northwest MLS. Let's talk about inventory. And here we go. So all things considered, our numbers are doing actually quite well. So we take a look at the year to date. You might say, oh my gosh, George, look at that. 30%, almost 31% more inventory. Okay. Actually, that's about 3,000 homes less than our average at this time of year. And when we take a look at the actual numbers, we're only up 500 homes, year over year. We're actually down only 69 homes for sale for the month of, or that have sold for the month of May. And we're up 413 pended homes. But when we take a look at the upper chart, look, we're still selling more homes than we did last year by 2.5%. And we have 3% more pended. And that shows you again that we're still trending really well. Our market is still doing quite well, even though it is normal for us to bobble around, the 100, 99, 101%, 98% of list price to sales price. That is situation normal, and that bobbles all along. And what we look at year over year, we're still pretty consistent. Now, does that mean that, we're heading towards a crisis? No. Are we heading and trending a little bit more towards and continuing that softer market? Yes. Buyers are definitely a little bit more in the driver's seat. Well-priced homes are still selling, in the first 7 days. But that is definitely more aggressively priced. Well-priced homes, they're tending to stay on the market, a little bit longer. And that is sometimes between 20 and 30 days. That does not mean that our market is heading, circling with the tidy bowl man. That just means that sellers need to be absolutely spot on because buyers are super, super smart. Anyway, all right. So if we move on, we take a look at new construction, right? Let's blow this up. Now, last week, we saw some pretty aggressive numbers. This week, right? Even though we're down 12.6%, as far as sales year over year, it's only about 400 homes ish, right? It's a little under that. But when we take a look at May's not that bad. Okay. So we had 616 more homes this year than we had last year. Okay. That's the lower chart. We only have 13 less homes than we had last year, but you know what? We were 34% less solds last week. This week, we reduced that down basically 14 points. We're at 20% less sales. It's only 77 homes, and that's again 3/4 of Washington State, and we're only off 36 homes for actual pended. And so our numbers are not horrible. The numbers look big because, we deal with, just some double-digit numbers there, and a small shift can make it look a little bit worse than what it really is. Does that mean that builders are out of the woods? No, not at all. Builders have to be very aggressive. Why? Because we have more resales coming on the market. The more resales that we have takes eyeballs away from new construction, and they need to be a tad bit more aggressive. Situation normal. All right. We've been seeing that for the last couple of years. That's not new. Affordability for buyers, not until rates come down are we going to see any significant amount of affordability. No, we do not see. There was some article that said, hey, rates are going to come down to 2.5%. No. No. The only reason that happened before is because the Feds bought down the rate. And unless they do that again, which I cannot imagine, especially based on the fact that Moody's downgraded, basically the credit score for the United States because of their debt ratios. No different than you or I. If we have higher debt ratios, our credit scores come down also. Same thing. The markets reacted to that, and that's why rates actually bopped up a little bit and then came back down. And so all things considered, it's situation normal, and we should be in a better position, especially later this year as things start to settle out. And we start looking at 2026, we should start seeing some of the improvement of our debt ratio, and then we should be able to raise the credit score of the United States. Anyway, moving on. All right. So as we pop over, let's talk about REOs. Now, bank-owned homes, I wanted to bring some perspective into this because, yes, we had a bump in number of homes available, and I thought, wow, that's super crazy. How the heck do we have more homes available? So I went in and looked, and lo and behold, we have 10 of the new listings belong in the Wall of Shame. So if you actually have a home for sale between Everett and Renton, you may want to have your agent double check your listing because you're marked as a bank owned and you're not. Anyway, just saying. So we took that off. So we do not have a 66% increase in REO inventory. We only have 47. Okay. And when we take a look at that, that translates and reduces all of our numbers down. And again, if you look at the yellow chart, which is basically our absorption rate, you can tell that the sweep on the left-hand side with the yellow matches the sweep on the right-hand side. Situation absolutely normal. No, we do not have a massive influx of bank-owned homes. No banks are not reducing their price and fire sailing them like people are thinking, or some of the books and tapes people out there saying, oh yeah, go in and offer the bank 10 cents on the dollar. They will laugh you right out of the room. All right. With that being said, if you have any questions, put them down below. Smash the subscribe button. Let us know what you think. And it's a little wet out there. Stay dry. Enjoy your open houses today, and come out and see us. We have a home that's back on the market in Kirkland, and what a great opportunity. We'll put the link down below for you. I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.